good evening, everyone, to a wonderful day of XENA family. Today we are going to start with our MC. Before she starts, let me give her a brief introduction. Our MC today is Ms. Dr. Poonam Arora. Dr. Poonam Arora has retired from a long academic career in the humanities at institutions in the US, the Middle East, and India. She has turned her attention to the larger questions of peace, social responsibility, and activism over the last few years. Her training in literature, film, and cultural studies now seeks to address real life psychosocial, political, and artistic domains to elevate our collective quality of life. She received her school and college education at Delhi Public School, Mathura Road, and St. Stephen's College, Delhi. As Senior Vice President at XENA Global Family Foundation and XENA World, she is focused on building a strong civil society committed to addressing the problems of contemporary India within a post-COVID and global context. She is currently working on a book tentatively titled The Indic Liberal Arts for the 21st Century, Policy, Prospects, and the Problematics. Over to you, ma'am. Dr. Poonam Arora.
Thank you, Manjari. I'm delighted to be introduced by you, someone as distinguished and as committed as you are to the XENA world. Good afternoon, fellow XENA members. We're assembled here today at today's event to undertake a rather ambitious task, to look back on what we've attempted in the 6 nonprofit chapters that have been active this year in the organization, and to move forward with a true hindsight in mind. Let our hindsight give us 2020 vision for the coming events. Let me list the 6 active chapters of our organization: XENA International Foundation, XENA Outreach Foundation, XENA Global Family Foundation, XENA World Care Foundation, and XENA Next Gen Foundation. In addition, and XENA Soul Connect Foundation. In addition, I'll list the 4 for-profit chapters: XENA World Care Private Limited, XENA Connect LLP, XENA Global Family LLP, and XENA World. As I said, we will look back, but we cannot do that to see who's closing in on us as though we were in a race, rather than understanding where we may have strayed from the path, what we have learned from the path we have traversed, and to move forward with confidence, with intentionality, and with humility. There has been a tacit criticism of our programming, and I would be the first to take this critique up. Our program appeared to be random and disconnected. One week we were discussing weaving patterns in a patola fabric. The next week we were talking of the food habits and healing practices of the indigenous Lapcha tribe of the northeast of India. And another week we were speaking of the medical myths that prevail in our population. I too wondered if we were not straying too far from our vision of identifying the pain points of our society and intending to alleviate this pain in our social, psychological, and political contexts. This event is meant to tie these loose threads into a complex, multidimensional, and vibrant tapestry that holds a mirror to our existence in the 21st century in India, with multifarious connections to a global and multi-layered society. Just as the coronavirus knows no geographic, epidemiological, and national boundaries, so our problems and their solutions transcend the local and reverberate around the world. Not just the epidemic, but every problem that we face and the solution that we attempt as individuals has implications both internally and externally. This internal dimension may be centered within the psychosocial makeup of an individual, but it extends outward within her nuclear family, within her neighborhood, within her village or city, within her nation, and the world at large. This is the true meaning of Krishna's word in the Bhagavad Gita. Aham sarvasya prabho matam sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhave samanvihapitaha. And I'll translate. I am the origin of all creation. Everything proceeds from me. Only the enlightened will understand this perfectly, and therefore he or she can worship me with true devotion. Unquote. Keeping Lord Krishna's perspective in mind, XENA has self-consciously blurred the sharp boundaries between the ego-driven profit/pleasure-seeking individual and the well-being of the community he/she is embedded within. At times, our programming started from the outward and moved inward. At other times, it started from the unitary and moved to the universal. The two movements, of course, are inseparable and simultaneous. Here is the summation of the interconnected themes we have decided to highlight for the coming year that we're calling the confluence of minds and future directions of the XENA global family. First, build a new, healthy, and joyful post-COVID world, returning to examine the deeper meaning of our indigenous arts, elevating social practices to a level of the sacred, and revitalizing rituals of harvesting, food, cooking, hospitality, etc. 2. Education, citizenship, and genuine representational democracy for self-determination. The new education policy, NEP 2020, issued by the Government of India earlier this year, will be the backdrop to these deliberations. 3. Developing habits of environmental conservation, sustainability, and renewal. This is part of conscious citizenship, methods of informal and co-curricular alternative education, and the fashioning of new meaningful rituals of collective commitment. All these will strengthen our environmental conservation goals. And 4, attracting and inducting next generation participants into our agenda and seeking to assign them leadership roles. Us old fogies have to give way to a new and radical way of functioning in a technologically savvy, socially engaged, and idealistic youth movement that is truly global in its worldview. This generation has risen above the hardened categories of caste, gender, and class that we must pay close attention to. Suputra and Suputri are not dutiful sons and daughters who slavishly follow outmoded traditions, but rather those that have found new ways of being in the world. We are devoting the lion's share of today's event to reports from our 6 not-for-profit entities. The other 4 for-profit will become active starting April 2022. My task is not only to attempt to stitch these together, show you the less visible seams that have stitched them together thus far, but to project the future collaborations and invisible connections that can be reinforced. This will call for deep introspection, maturity, and dare I say, imagination. Having come to know the leaders of our organization over the last year and a half, and understanding the plans and aspirations of our founder and mastermind, Rajiv Anand, I have immense faith in our mission and our future direction. I don't mean to sound boastful, but it is beginning to appear that our prospects of building a formidable, ambitious, and successful organization are strong indeed. Let us strive to be altruistic, utopian, and selfless in our efforts. Let us put our best foot forward, continue to inspire each other, and learn from the thinking of the next generation people in the forthcoming year, inshallah. These are my opening remarks, and I will now give you a sense of how this event will unfold. I'm going to ask our technical facilitator, the whiz kid Sushim Sudhe, to play the recorded message of the pregonero, Chandramohan Nautiyal. Over to you, Sushim.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me introduce to all of you Dr. Chandramohan Nautiyal. Dr. Chandramohan Nautiyal is a well-known scientist and a science communicator. After BSc Honours in Physics from Meerut and MSc Physics from University of Roorkee, now IIT Roorkee, he completed PhD at PRL Ahmedabad, that is Physical Research Laboratory Ahmedabad. He was a scientific collaborator for the study of lunar samples brought during Apollo and Luna missions. He is Fellow of Geological Society of India, NCSTC Network, that is National Council for Science and Technology Communication Network, and Social Earth Scientists. In addition to INSA Medal, that is Indian National Science Academy Medal for Young Scientist 88, Travel Award from Meteorological Society USA, and INSA DFG Fellowship. DFG is basically German Research Foundation. He is a recipient of about a dozen other honors and awards. He has been member of many science committees, including National Commission Archaeological Sciences, and was a convener of NCSTC Network. He superannuated from Birbal Sahni Institute of Paleo Sciences, Lucknow, which is an institution of the Department of Science and Technology. In 2016, as scientist in charge of radiocarbon laboratory. On invitation, he has visited many countries including France, UK, USA, Germany, Switzerland, South Africa, Russia, and Vietnam. At present, he is consultant science communication to Indian National Science Academy, that is INSA, New Delhi. He is also member Board of Studies, Chaudhry Charan Singh University, Meerut, Vice President Vibha, Awadh Prant, Chairman NCSC UP. NCSC is National Children Science Congress. Member Local Advisory Committee RSC Lucknow, Management Committee MR Jaipuria College and Indus Valley School Lucknow. Advisor Breakthrough Science Society Kolkata UP Chapter. Chairperson NCSC UP East. Member Executive Vigyan Parishad Prayag as via Antrangi. Club of Lucknow, Vice President Bharatiya Bhasha Pratishthapan Rashtriya Parishad UP. He is also a member of the Publication Committee Vigyan Prasar, a DST institution, and member of American Association Advanced Science USA. PSCT Network, that is Public Commission of Science and Technology, and corresponding member Palcom, Switzerland. We at this forum are honored to have him as a speaker.
Sir, you may kindly give your speech.
Thank you so much. It's really nice to have an introduction like this. Thank you so much for this kind introduction. Dear XENA fraternity, it's a pleasure and honor to be among you and talking to you on this occasion. We know that the last 2 years have been very challenging for the whole humankind. Never before in the last 100 years, humanity or this world faced such a serious problem. But this has also been a time for introspection. We have been asking ourselves many questions. What is it that we value in our life? What is it that life means? What is the value of life? How important are the relationships? And as you know, that XENA stands for how we feel good about each other, how we help each other, how we develop empathy, how we develop friendship, how we help each other, and we grow into better human beings than what we were before. So I think last 2 years have been helping us to realize that the philosophy of XENA is also really very, very relevant to our lives. These 2 years have been years of turmoil. Many people have lost their lives, their jobs, their places. Many people have received shocks. But as you would realize that after every such experience, humankind appears and emerges stronger than what it was before. And this has been the history of mankind. Not that man has won over nature or has defeated nature, but the fact is that after every such conflict with nature, humankind emerges stronger. And that is a lesson for us to learn. The clashes have been very common. 100 years ago, there was Spanish flu. 100 years after that, and in between, we have had many such skirmishes with diseases, with viruses, with bacteria. But every time we have found a way how to defeat them. And this indomitable spirit of humankind is where we lie our hope and our faith. They say that the faith moves mountains. We are not aiming at moving mountains, but we are trying to make some small little steps, some small changes that change the face of the humankind, even if by a small increment. We don't change the whole world together, but we should have a wish to improve it. As somebody said, that if we are not part of the solution, we are a part of the problem. And this is something we must realize. In the XENA fraternity, many of us have been doing great things. Some have been doing not so great things, but by consensus, by talking to each other and by a process which is fully democratic, we have been able to identify some people who have had their share in making this world a little better, a shade better. And when many of us follow that example, perhaps this world would be a better place. Otherwise, we can shriek, we can rant, we can shout, we can complain, and the world doesn't change. So let us be part of the solution, and let us identify and appreciate those who have been working very hard in their own capacities, in their own ways to make this world better. And such names will be announced very soon. And I would now request Dr. Arora, Dr. Poonam Arora, to please take over and go ahead with the proceedings. Thank you very much for a very patient listening.
Thank you, Dr. Nautiyal. Your words are sobering as well as encouraging. Indeed, we face an entirely new post-COVID world. Over the last year and a half, have been bringing our attention back to the pandemic, even as it appears to recede. Because in facing this challenge, we have the opportunity to rethink the world, to rethink our independence, to rethink our collaborations, and to rethink what kind of society we want to live in. Gone are the days when we could just pursue our individual aspirations, our individual goals, and celebrate our individual achievements. Even the most successful people have faded in the light of this COVID. We have lost loved ones. We have not been able to save ourselves from the virus. So what exactly should this world look like? Does the achievement of 7 billion individuals really lead to a better world? No, it doesn't. Because my success comes at the expense of your success. And this equation has to be rethought. I believe that in focusing on some of the select themes that we've chosen, we can indeed build a more interdependent, interconnected, and collectively moving forward world, not where the success of one comes at the expense of the other. If this is one lesson we can learn from everything that we are trying to achieve, we will have taken a very big stride. So let me just talk about how this event will proceed. We've lost some time. We may be able to compress some things, but the highlights will remain the same. So right after Mr. Naveen Jaggi's keynote address, which will be the conclusion of the first session, we will have the second session. Here, we will have the reports prepared by designated people on each of the 6 nonprofit organizations that are part of XENA. Arundhati Chakrabarti will speak about XENA Next Gen Foundation. Mohana Chattopadhyay will speak about XENA Global Family Foundation. Professor Vinay Pandey will speak about XENA Outreach Foundation. Dr. Nandini Sethi will speak about XENA World Care Foundation. And now that Fatima Khanum is back with us after some hours and days of uncertainty, we look forward to hearing from her on XENA Soul Connect Foundation. And finally, Dr. Anil Kumar will speak about XENA International Foundation. This is the crux of our program. We will have a third session, which will be the award ceremony, which will be introduced and the awards given away by Mr. Amitabh Pathak. Lastly, we will have the words by Mr. Joydeep Sengupta. Vote of thanks by Mr. Neeraj Yajnik, the XENA anthem towards the second last event. And finally, words of goodbye by Meena Tilak Raj in Punjabi. And I will say a lot more about this because one of the central themes of our education enterprise going forward is the concept of multilingualism. How can we unify a nation of 35 languages and hundreds of dialects into a cohesive entity? We cannot do this without an education in multilingualism and the practice of multilingualism. So we have started this practice of having some part of our event in one or the other language of our nation. So in that context, Ms. Meena Tilak Raj will give a word of goodbye in Punjabi. So this is the flow.
Didi, before you proceed, vision document, you have to ask Sushim to play, please.
I will introduce Sushim now as one of our whiz kids and what I'm referring to as Generation Next, our future leaders before whom we will take, from whom we will at one point take instructions. Sushim is a student of class 8 at Tagore International School in South Delhi. And by the way, my own interaction with Tagore International School tells me it's one of the finest institutions in the city, indeed in the country. He's an ardent artist, likes to paint. He has various mediums at his disposal. He's passionate about what's happening in the war zones of the world. And he is very active as a game developer. So you can see that Sushim is what we have always called an all-rounder. In this age of specialization, when every person knows just a very little bit of what he knows in a deep way, we need all-rounders like Sushim. He's an excellent swimmer, football player, good actor. He has created a movie for a film festival of India. He recently played the role of Ram Prasad Bismil for a school's Independence Day celebration. The achievements go on and on. Sushin, over to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
XENA World Vision Document. We are a family, bringing joy, happiness, prosperity in our lives and around by nurturing, encouraging, catalyzing, enabling 360-degree well-being in physical, intellectual, emotional, social, and economic dimensions. Our vision: abundance of joy, happiness, care, and prosperity for all. Our mission: we strive for alleviating pain, suffering, and poverty, encouraging unshackled free thoughts, enabling dignified jobs and livelihood, nurturing close family bonding, seeking joy and happiness in the impact caused. Our values: passion, work with passion and from heart. Our values: humility, learning attitude, mutual respect, and open to listening to others. Our values: integrity, sincere, honest, and ethical principles. Our values: empathy, understand and feel others as your own. Our values: humanity, have compassion, brotherhood, fellow feeling, and kindness. Our values: joy, work that brings joy and value, diversity and inclusion. Our character: trust, belief, faith, and confidence in self and in others, from where love and compassion emanate. Our character: virtue, high moral values, patience, consideration, trustworthiness, and forgiveness. Our character: transparency, honesty, openness, and not guarded. Thank you.
Taking over, it's my now immense pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Mr. Naveen Kumar Jaggi. And it's my great honor to introduce a person I've come to know recently, but one I look forward to knowing more and getting to learn from him. Mr. Jaggi, an advocate by profession.
No, please, nothing. I'll be very grateful, Mr. Jivanand, if there's nothing really worth saying anything about me. If you forgive me, and I'm allowed to break the protocol, I would request you. There's nothing that I've contributed to society or the community or the world at large that is worth mentioning. May I start? I had planned a speech. But like they say, man proposes, God disposes. Am I clear on the screen? It's very important that my facial expression and my countenance may be noticed. Am I clear on the screen?
Yes, sir.
You are clear on the screen.
Yes, clear.
Thank you, sir. I'd planned a speech, verbose, rhetoric, and a tribute and singing a paean in honor of Rajiva Anand, Mr. Rajiva Anand. But I've forgotten all that. I'll share with you why. But before I start, Mr. Rajiva Anand, can you see what dress I'm wearing today, the color of my attire? Mr. Rajiva Anand, are you there? Or you?
No, no, absolutely, absolutely. Yes.
I'm wearing brown, sir. I said before the year ends, I must fulfill your wish. But that apart, there was a young lad here yesterday with me, and I was interested and wanting to speak to him. And I told him, and I thought I'll kill two birds with one stone. I'll wear a brown dress, brown attire, and also teach you something. But that young lad, at the last minute, he gave me not only goosebumps, goose pimples, let me down so badly that I was expecting him to be here half an hour earlier so that we'd have everything planned. But no value for time, no respect for age, merit I don't have, so I don't blame him for that. But everything went all right. That's the time when I thought, Mr. Rajiva Anand, what a Herculean task, what a well-nigh impossible task you have undertaken, trying to get together people. It's so difficult to get one lad on board. And here you manage all over the world, the nooks and crannies of the world, to collect all people, all important people, minus the one addressing you now. What a Herculean task. Hats off to you. I promise you, I would not mention your name, Mr. Rajiv, but I cannot. It's not me who's beholden to you, the entire XENA family, the 6 non-profit with whom I'm concerned vicariously or in any manner, all of them are indebted to you for having brought us together. An impossible task. I was totally disheartened. I didn't know what to speak because I was upset. I get upset when something goes, when there's disrespect for punctuality, discipline, disregard for a planned program without any major reason. Till I heard Dr. Poonam Arora's speech, that speech, that address, all the spoken in mild terms, charged me up. And I realized it's not worth waiting for somebody you want to create, build into a winner, build into a leader, build into a conqueror, build into somebody who will give back to the society and the community and the world at large. It's not worth it. So we have to choose our path also. And that path, which I'd lost sight of, came back to me, the vision came back to me after I heard Dr. Poonam Arora. Right? We have to now work out the situation where it is not my success depends on your success. We must go to pre-1914, before the First World War and before the Spanish flu, when life was a lot more peaceful and people were more kind, more adjusting, they thought of the well-being of others. That is where we have to go. And it is possible with a team like the founding members, the team collected by Mr. Rajiv Anand, the magician that he is created. It's possible that we'll achieve our success. And Mr. Dr. Poonam Arora, this is no compliment to you, but you really, what I admire about you is the veracity with which you spoke and addressed that we were having all diametrically opposite, dichotomy, different, and you've been able to embroider them into a beautiful necklace. Your words, your thoughts, and so simplistically and so beautifully put. Yes, Mr. Rajiv Anand, your dream, your creation, will not be, will be, it shall become a reality because you have a team and people like that. I see Mr. Sanjay Prasad. Wake up, Mr. Sanjay Prasad, you're sleeping. Oh, Mr. Sanjay Prasad. Why don't, good to see a smile from you. Good to see a smile from you. Arundhati smiling, good. Dr. Professor Vinay Pandey, sir. What I wanted to speak, that's changed. But by and large, I totally endorse what Dr. Poonam Arora said, we must get. And I'm totally impressed by the way our thought process, our vision was projected on the screen. Mr. Rajiv Anand, hats off to you and a sincere, honest, heartfelt gratitude that you've visually placed all that I thought a XENA World family, non-profit family group should be. I'm indebted to you that you respected many of my feelings and emotions, even at the cost of them being not non-practical and non-pragmatic. Thank you very much for still upholding those visions. I have no words to say. I'm cutting short, but it's been a great 2.5 years. Although I'm very sad that this time, last year, of course, Mrs. Priyanka Manjari had an excuse not to send me a Christmas cake. But this year, I'm surprised. Well, how could she miss it? I had to remind her, you've forgotten us, out of sight, out of mind. Mrs. Priyanka Manjari, a gift toss in the mouth. I hope you remember to present me Christmas cake next time, as you've been doing earlier. Thank you very much, all who are on the screen. And if this address has been a meaningless address, a meandering labyrinthine path, nonsensical in its content, I seek your forgiveness. But I'm very happy and proud after hearing you, Dr. Poonam Arora, and after seeing the visuals that Mr. Rajiv Anand showed us, our vision and our views. And it's great. Arundhati Chakravarti, Dr. Pandey, and that young boy. Yes, Mrs. Priyanka Manjari, I can see you. Christmas cake is missing this year. Okay, next year, no excuse. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Naveen Jaggi. Let me just pick up one little theme from his talk. This idea that a ritual gift is made every year on a certain occasion, come what may, whether it is kheer made on Purnamashi or Amavas, whether it is prasad given at a Shiv temple, whether it is celebrations of Eid. The thing is not what is given. The emphasis is that come what may, it is repeated. The re of ritual and the re of ritu. That means the ritu, the season that returns, come what may. The re is the important thing, not the content of what we do, but that we do it repeatedly as a ritual, as a riti, as a ritu returns over and over again. And every time that circle is repeated, it becomes magnified. So the fact that we have this event on every Sunday afternoon, not the content of it, but that it happens every Sunday, come what may. Rajiv, hats off to you. Okay, so I'm only just reinforcing that which Mr. Jaggi just said. It's not the content of what we do, but that we do it repeatedly. Okay.
Thank you.